What's up everyone, Drunken Phoenix here. So today I'm going to do a reaction to these TikTok videos regarding this ongoing student loan crisis. For those of you guys, I'm sure you guys know this already, but the current administration is not playing when it comes to student loan payments. They have stated that as early as May 4th, and it's currently the 6th right now, that they will begin garnishing people's paychecks. They may even consider going into your Social Security or even getting your, I guess, refunding your tax refund in their favor. Because, you know, if you're defaulting on your student loans, because, you know, they felt like the past administration was a little too lenient on the student loan payments with a lot of the, you know, forbearance and forgiveness and things like that. So there's a lot of people that are pretty much straight up saying that they're not paying their student loans back, which I find very interesting. Before I get into the video, I would say my opinion on student loans. You have so many camps of people. You have one group of people that feel that, you know, they're not paying it because they feel like they were taken advantage of and blah, blah, blah. You have the other group of people that are like the pull yourself up by your bootstrap people that feel like, haha, you took the loan, you need to pay it, dummy. You know what I'm saying? So as in most things, the best take is somewhere in the middle. My personal opinion, I feel that, you know, obviously you have an obligation to pay your debts. At the same time, I'm not going to be someone that doesn't recognize the predatory nature of student loans. Like these entities prey on really young adult people just getting into adulthood after being indoctrinated into thinking that they have to go to college, and that if they don't go to college, then their life is going to be not as promising. They need to go to college for a job. So they give them these ridiculous loans with these ridiculous interest rates, and, you know, with no type of guidance. And it really sucks, because the worst thing about it is they'll give them so much money for this, but it's like pulling teeth to get a loan for a car, or to get a loan for a house or a business, you know. Because I remember when I was a very young adult, and how difficult it was to get a loan for my first car. So yeah, I recognize that these things are very predatory, and that it is a really, you know, screwed up system, especially when you consider that all the different loan forgiveness and debt forgiveness that happens to a lot of big corporations, just a lot of super wealthy people in general. But I'm going to go ahead and get to these videos.
Found out that my estimated student loan debt payoff is in the year 2049. 2049. 2049. Do I have my fiance start planning my funeral today or tomorrow?
At the bottom of my casket will have a file cabinet for all these student loans to rest in heavenly peace. That's how much I owe in student loans. How much money I owe in student loans. Now let me provide you with some additional information, since I know that this video is going to go viral because people are cruel, and a lot of people are going to be ready to attack me in the comments and judge me and do whatever they got to do to feel good about themselves. I am a proud 25-year-old with over $100,000 in student loan debt. I went to school. I got a free associate degree through the early college program. I then furthered my education and got 2 additional degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship with a minor in management, and I have a master's degree in organizational leadership. But one thing America doesn't know about me is that I have 1 additional degree that's not on file and it's not in the records anywhere, and that's a law degree. At any given point, I'm prepared to take the stand and explain why I cannot afford to pay a dime on them student loans. Baby, you ain't never seen a sharp, undegreed attorney like me ever in your life. It's my time to shine.
Okay, so I want to pause it there. That video was really interesting, and I think if you guys are, you know, parents, or if you're like a young adult that's thinking about going to college, or I guess like someone like right out of high school, I would really advise that you get a degree that is feasible. Like she mentioned that she got $100,000. She has $100,000 in student loans, and I think she said something that might have went to her associate degree, whatever. But she got I think she said she had a bachelor degree in entrepreneurship, and I don't want to be I don't want to sound rude, but that is kind of in my opinion, that's kind of a stupid degree to have. Unless like you just have a whole bunch of money or come from a rich family and you graduate and don't ever have to work for anybody. I guess that might kind of make sense. Maybe not. But you want to be you want to get a major that's going to be very feasible, that can, be promising for getting a good job once you graduate. Especially in today's job market, because the job market today is very different. Because even like a lot of, fields that we thought were so-called secure and pretty, stable, especially in technology, a lot of those people are getting laid off and are having difficult finding jobs. Like people from Google and all these other major tech firms that are really good at what they do, very intelligent people, are getting laid off and are having trouble finding work after getting laid off. So yeah, don't get a degree in entrepreneurship, because degrees aren't everything when it comes to getting a job, but who do you think is going to hire you with an entrepreneurship degree? I mean, even the sound of that, if I was like an employer, I would be like, okay, this person clearly wants to work for himself at some point, which, I mean, not necessarily a bad thing, but that's not going to be very marketable in the job search when you're looking for, if you like one of many candidates. So my advice, get a degree that's worth it. If you don't get $100,000 in debt, unless you're going to be like a doctor or something, that is a lot of money to get in debt for. I would say the best degree to go, one of the more dependable degrees, would be something in finance or economics. That's just my opinion. Take that with what you will. But to the next video.
The federal government is doing away with forgiveness plans, and they will come after you from collections and take your Social Security benefits if you don't pay it. Honey, go ahead and take it. Just take it. Now, here's the thing. My generation has been told that Social Security won't be there whenever we retire. Also, the age is going to get bumped up to like 72, even though it's at 69 and a half. Even though the life expectancy keeps declining, but they want to bump that up. Yeah, I've been told my entire life it won't be there. Don't bank on it. So I checked in my Social Security today. It's at $18,000. Well, guess what? Little Miss Me has $18,000 in student debt. So you fill out the paperwork. I will sign that over today.
I'm not paying back my student loans. I do not care. Oh, but what about your credit score? What am I going to do with a good credit score? Buy a house on starvation wages? Buy a car I can't afford to insure? I'm not paying them back. I don't give a shit about my credit score. Oh, they're going to garnish your wages. Most of us are underemployed. If they start taking additional money out of my paycheck, I just won't work. My life will not get worse. I'm not going to have the money anyway, so you can't garnish what isn't there. I grew up in a far-right, conservative, hardcore Republican family, and since like kindergarten, I have been conditioned to believe that if I did not go to college, I would not be successful. I was told that if I locked in, got great grades in high school, got into college, focused, and got my degree, that I would have a life similar to the life my parents had, where my dad worked one job for like 35 years, was able to buy a house and go on vacation and support his family. That doesn't exist anymore. There's no jobs out there with pension plans. There's no jobs out there that let people my age just like buy a house. So what was all that work for? Generations of Americans have been told that if they went to college and they did the right thing, took out these loans, that it would be worth it. And most of us are finding out it's not even remotely close to worth it. You're telling me these millionaires and billionaires were able to get these PPE loans forgiven that they took out during the pandemic for millions of dollars? But I have 30 grand in college debt left and I'm refusing to pay it back, and now I'm the problem? Hi.
Yeah, so that guy, he brought up some really good, interesting points. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of indoctrination that states that you have to get good grades. Continue to get good grades. I do think education is important, but a lot of talk about you have to go to college, you have to get a degree. That's how you're going to get a job and be stable in life. Where that really is just not the case, especially not as much anymore. And even with that, we still cannot deny the predatory nature of these loans, because you have like the interest rates alone are quite ridiculous, and it's like I said, it's still just astounding to me how they would approve so much money for people, for young adults to just enter colleges with any type of degree. I mean, I guess it's predatory. It's no other way around it, and it's like I said, it's a system to keep you in a hamster wheel, and I just don't. Like I said, I understand personal responsibility in that, yes, you have to take responsibility for your actions. At the same time, I can't in good conscience just blame any and everybody that has student loans that are kind of in a position where they just feel helpless and can't do it, because I recognize the system for what it is. And I recognize that even for people that have went to college and they may have a pretty decent job, it's still, the wages is still not super sustainable when it comes to paying them off in a timely manner. And when I say in a timely manner, I would think like maybe 5 to 10 years, but that's not feasible for most people. So, and meanwhile, our hard-earned tax dollars goes to, I'm not going to get too political right now, but our tax dollars go to so many different things that we may not necessarily agree with. You know, such as grants to Elon Musk, who gets so many grants for his businesses or whatever. But that aside, yeah, I just recognize it. So I think I would say that for me, I'm an advocate for some loan forgiveness or just some kind of plan to just make it easier for the average American, because I do see it as a very predatory system and just something that is just very unjust, and it's just another way to not only keep the poor and middle class, like, you know, below the upper class, but also as a way to keep people divided, because you're always going to have these arguments with people going back and forth, just blaming each other. Like the people, like I said, the people that have in the videos that are, you know, pretty much say they're not paying the loans, and as well as the people that are going to just blame them for everything and just gaslight them for all their bad decisions that they made, and not taking into account why people make certain decisions, you know. So let's continue.
I'm a high school teacher, and I want to tell you the story of my student loan debt. I graduated college in 2015. I went to school for 5 years. I paid out of pocket for 2 of those years. Actually, saying I paid out of pocket is inaccurate. What I actually did was borrow against my parents' life insurance. So when my parents finally kicked the bucket, I'm not going to get as much money to pay for their funeral expenses as I was supposed to. Which is to say that my student loans could be worse, but because I sacrificed some stuff that's actually going to make my life harder in the future, they're not as bad. Now let's talk about teaching. In order to be a teacher in most states in the United States, you have to have a college degree. There's just no way around it. Also, there's a national teacher shortage right now. America needs teachers because so many of us are leaving. Why are we leaving? Well, they don't pay us a lot of money. We're trained to accept the fact that one day we're probably going to get shot. A good portion of the American population uses us as a political football without actually consulting us about anything. And educational lobbying has essentially boiled us down to being a cog in a very broken and busted system. Now, me personally, I love teaching. It's like the only thing I've ever really wanted to do as a job since I was 16 years old. So at least for a while, I'm sticking with it. I've been doing it full-time for 5 years now. I make $49,000 a year, or at least I will when school starts up again in August. That's considered a high salary for teachers where I live. And I mentioned I graduated in 2015, which means that I've been paying my loans for almost 10 years now. I took out $50,000 in loans, which again is not as bad as it could have been. But I had to take the loans out to get the job that I want to do. After 8 years of paying my student loans, I now owe $58,000, which again is way better than some other people in my position. With the outlandish cost of college, it sends the message that like only rich people should be teachers. That doesn't even begin to address systemic issues that would keep people of color away from the teaching profession. But again, they need us right now. And willingly keeping teachers like in debt and broke and poor doesn't instill any confidence in the next generation of people to come in and fill these gaps, to take on these jobs that you need. It is an impossible system. And anybody who's like complacent in this, you're just saying, who cares about teachers? Is this going to change anybody's mind? No, probably not. Believe me, as a profession, we already know who and who doesn't care about teachers at all. But you can bet that your children are the ones who are suffering. So I'm not really bothered if you don't care about me or other teachers or anything like that. But I would expect you to care about your kids, and you don't.
Okay, so I think that guy spoke nothing but truth, and it's very it's always been mind-boggling to me that teachers are not paid a decent wage. Like I would think like they are required to go to college, and they are the ones that are with our children, that are educating them, and helping to raise in a way the next generation, because children spend a good portion of their day around their in schools. So that it's just I guess things like this to me is just really disheartening to see, and I wish people would just wake up and see everything for what it is. Like, just see how just screwed up our system is, and just how how unfair things are. Meanwhile, we have so many politicians on both sides, by the way, that are just doing all kinds of shady stuff to get money, whether it's, insider trading or what appears to be market manipulation right now. I'm allegedly, with this whole tariff situation, but just all the crooked things, all the different money laundering things that a lot of these people in power do. And it's just it's really interesting to me how, I'm going to continue the videos, but it's really interesting to me how this stuff is just so normalized in our society, to where as Americans we are able to empathize and even aspire or relate more to these super mega rich people more than we are to a homeless person or a low income person, where technically for most of us our net worths are closer to zero than it is to a billion, or even to 500 million or 300 million, or damn, even 100 million. So I don't know, I just think that's just some food for thought.
I would like the federal government and the Trump administration to know personally that my student loans will never be paid now. I'm not going to pay them. If this is what the federal government is doing, I'm not going to pay them. Okay? You can give me every single punishment. You can ruin my credit score. You're going to try to make me a slave in about 2 weeks. So I'm not paying it. I'm not.
Happy graduation month. Why do you have that cup?
Let me make a disclaimer though. Although I advocate for loan forgiveness to some degree, and I do recognize the system as being very corrupt, I would not advise you guys to just not pay your student loans. If for no other reason, you don't want to fuck up your credit score. Credit is very important, So yeah, and there is I would say there is some level of personal responsibility, because we can't just, but anyway.
I just remind everybody to not go to college because it's not going to work out well for you. Okay, don't say that to our new graduates, because today's May 5th, and now all the collection people could go after all the people who have defaulted on their student loan debts. I mean, heck, I still owe $20,000, and I started with $100,000. That was 20 years ago, still in the hole. Can you believe that? You should have tried harder, I guess. That's really more your fault, not really the fact that people should not go to college. Except living here in the United States has gotten way too expensive, and wages are not going up. You know what is going up though? My interest rates. Right now I pay $7.25 every single day just on interest, which is funny because that's also what the federal wages for minimum wage here in the United States, which haven't changed in 15 years. Odd. You're saying the wrong message. You're saying that basically hey, it's not worth it at all, but also you're saying that you should get it forgiven in the future because everything still sucks. That's not the case. If you don't take out the loan, you don't have to worry about it, but if you do take out the loan, then hey, you have to be accountable for it. About that, do you remember in 2020 when a bunch of people took out the PPE loans? Yeah, we had a pandemic and we needed to bail a bunch of people. What about it? Why did Marjorie Taylor Greene get $100,000 just wiped off her books, but then she's upset about the fact that all these students of doing different degrees, they don't get paid out. Well, why can't we help those people out? Because the government approved it, so it's okay. If the government approved free college, that would be okay? No, because that's socialism. But paying off Marjorie Taylor Greene's loans of $100,000 to the PPE, that's not socialism? No, because the government decided that was okay. What if the government decided that paying off people's student loans was okay? That would be socialism. That's why I'm telling people to not take out student loan debt.
I've been playing a Catch Me If You Can game with them student loans for a very long time. So, I'm still going to continue to play that same game after May 5th. I don't know who these people think they are, trying to take money back for a degree. Like, I'd understand if I owed something for something serious. A degree? You want me to pay you for me being an educated, upstanding individual in this society? I need to now pay you because I'm intelligent?
Okay, so there you have it. You know, this last lady's take, I would say her take might be a little bit too extreme. I mean, like I said, it is a loan, so you have to, you know, pay it back. But at the same time, you know, I think it should be, you know, reasonable payments in a reasonable loan, nothing too crazy. So all I would say is, I don't think anything is going to change anytime soon. I think these predatory loans are still going to be a thing. I still think that, you know, our young people are going to continue being indoctrinated into feeling that they have to go to college to get any type of job, because a lot of jobs do require college degrees. So all I would advise is just be smart with the loans you take. Have a plan. When I was in college, I had two majors that were pretty feasible. There were two majors that I went in with the plan of doing two majors. Like, I had my main major I wanted to do, and I had a backup major, and you know, and they were both pretty feasible. So yeah, just be smart with what type of major you get. You know, don't go to college for creative writing, or maybe that could be your minor, but have a major that's going to be, you know, feasible. So yeah, so that's my advice. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.